Donald Trump is wrapping his trip in Asia, and I'll show you a few different aspects of this. His meeting with Xi Jinping. Did he get a lot out of it? Is he pretending like he got a lot and he didn't? And then this speech in South Korea where Trump proclaimed something and then the entity he proclaimed it about immediately slapped it down. Little embarrassing. And I'm happy to see finally we get a specific test case because Trump is making these big claims, right? We've gotten $20 trillion of investments brought in the United States, but then they're not substantiated. It's just kind of this empty number he throws around. And so no one can specifically go, hey, that's about me and it's wrong. But here he made a specific claim about Toyota. And he said he met with Mr. Toyota, and Mr. Toyota said, I'll give you $10 billion. I'm going to invest $10 billion in the U.S. Well, we'll see what Mr. Toyota's response was in a second here.
All of these factories that are moving in, the car plants are moving in. Yesterday I was with Mr. Toyota in Japan, and he's just announced they are going to spend $10 billion, and they're going to build new car plants, and they're going to build them in numerous states, about 6 or 7 different states. And we're bringing our car industry back. We're bringing AI. We're leading everybody in AI.
And apparently he makes that announcement, walks off stage, and immediately you have a Toyota executive having to fact check this, saying no pledges were made about an investment of that caliber, but said we're going to continue investing in creating jobs in America like we've been doing. Toyota said it never promised Trump anything of the sort. Oof. So that's a specific case, right? He goes, 10 billion sounds nice, says it. And most of the time, companies don't want to offend him, so they go, yeah, sure. You remember Zuckerberg? I didn't know what number you wanted me to say. But in that case, you had a Toyota executive actually fact-checking it. Then Trump continued the bragging. While we continue through this segment, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show.
So many successful meetings, and so many meetings great for our country, with literally hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars have come into our country over the last 4 days, represented by this meeting. But trillions of dollars, where Toyota is going to build plants, $10 billion worth of plants, and I could go over so many different companies coming in, they're pouring money.
So many, but the one that he thinks of said that it's not true. Now, he did have a summit in South Korea with Xi Jinping of which country?
China!
You just got to have your finger on that sucker throughout this segment, Cole. And this was such a bizarre interaction. Watch. First of all, I don't know. I don't know if this is dumb, but there seems to be a slight attempt at a power move that Trump is waiting for Xi Jinping. We're the United States of America. We wait for no one, right? Trump's just kind of waiting there.
Mr. President, the President of the People's Republic of China.
Good to meet you. Great pleasure to see you again.
Good to see you again.
很高兴再次跟大黑妹。Me too.
And we're going to have a very successful meeting, I have no doubt.
So this whole time their hands have been clasped, and Xi Jinping is doing that thing where he'll glance at Trump when Trump's not looking, but when Trump tries to look to make eye contact, to give a nod, Xi Jinping won't look at him. It's all the imagery is strange. I'm not saying it would have been completely normal picturing Biden and Xi standing there. But something's off about this.
But he's a very tough negotiator. That's not good.
There we go.
We know each other well.
Mr. President, do you plan to sign a trade deal today?
Could be. I think we'll have a great understanding. We have a great relationship. We've always had a great relationship.
Now, Xi Jinping is known for having a little bit of a poker face, right? So he's not going to be as expressive. I get that. I know we're all reading things into his face, like, what is he thinking right now? Trump's is a little bit more obvious. And Trump's saying it. We have a great relationship, right, Xi? Xi doesn't say anything. But Xi Jinping does look a little irked. He does. Now, there have been plenty of cases where I thought that and maybe it wasn't true. But look, he looks a little bit like, who is this guy? And what bothers me is I'm American, okay? And so, especially in dealings with China, I want the American president to be respected. But it's Trump. So, I just want to make sure you know my analysis is not like, woo, Xi Jinping! Make that loser look like a fool. That's not my feeling. And I do believe whoever the U.S. president is, I want them to be respected and I want them to be treated correctly, etc. But also, I can't imagine being a world leader and having to interact with Trump on the world stage.
We have a great relationship. We've always had a great relationship.
Will you discuss Taiwan, sir?
Which way? Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, so that's kind of the introduction. That's the meeting. Trump keeps saying we have a great relationship. Xi's not saying much, even though I think I'm hearing translators translate, so I think he could respond. And that was a lot of people's take was, oh, something about that was weird. But not on Fox News.
This is an America First agenda. This is what we voted for, strong foreign policy. And you even see the way he's shaking his hand. President Trump has control of that room, and I have a lot of confidence in this meeting.
Yeah. Michelle?
I missed it, but apparently that was a domination by Trump. And what actually came of this meeting, as of when we're recording this, it just happened. So we don't have a lot of information. And you also have to be super cautious when you cover Trump summits, because he'll come out and say this was the most historic thing ever. We got 12 deals and they're maxed out, but we're also going to add things to them. And it's the greatest achievement in history. And then you never hear again about the deal and you realize there was no deal. So that seems to be boiling here, where what we got, what the big concessions were, was China in exchange for us lowering our tariffs are backing off of some of their responses to our tariffs. And then we're supposed to applaud Trump even though the tariffs are still higher. So think about that. Like, one of the things was on rare earth, or raw earth minerals, as Trump called it, and how they had added more restrictions, China had, in response to Trump's trade war. Well, then Trump lowers the tariffs a little and they remove those barriers, but only the ones they had added extra controls in response to Trump's trade war. And so then Trump comes out and say, we got this huge rare earth mineral concession. But that didn't even, we're not even back to where we were before you started all of this. Excuse me. Goodness. By flexing China's near monopoly on rare earths and its purchasing power over U.S. soybeans, Mr. Xi won key concessions from Washington: a reduction in tariffs, a suspension of port fees on Chinese ships, and the delay of U.S. export controls that would have barred more Chinese firms from access to American technology. And then there's a truce. You had just them rolling back a lot of the stuff, from what I can tell preliminarily, that they had added on. Like, another one was, okay, we'll start buying some soybeans. Yes, we got this huge... but that only happened in response to your thing. Your trade... the tariffs. So what it... No, I don't applaud you for partially putting out a fire you started and not even putting it out all the way. Here's News Nation.
So I think this deal, should it be honored, will have a significant impact. But something I would also note is that China has promised large agricultural purchases before. It promised it in the first Trump administration and hasn't delivered. So while China may promise to make significant purchases of various American products, whether they be soybeans, wide-body aircraft, other types of U.S. commodities that President Trump clearly wants to sell, and American manufacturers clearly want to sell to China, their track record on making those purchases and following through is not as clean as we might hope.
Yeah, and the article I was reading was from the New York Times saying the art of letting Trump claim a win while walking away stronger by withholding soybean purchases and rare earth exports, China extracted relief from U.S. tariffs and delayed export controls without conceding much in return. And so then you just start getting irritated because Trump's proclaiming that he made China blink. He made them blink. They bent the knee. But we're still in a worse situation in our economic relationship with them. It's not like we got many of the things they do to undermine us economically and otherwise. I want to leverage concessions out of them to make them stop doing some of those things. But we're not even back to the status quo before all this started. So no, what's the applause for? You're going to have, already we know the Benny Johnson videos. Xi Jinping
What's up, guys? Benny
pissed his pants when Trump grabbed his hand, and now we have rare earth concessions. Only them removing the controls they had put on in October. Oh, and also, Trump loves our farmers. Boom, 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 because he got them to buy some soybeans, which they were doing before this trade war. So dumb. Maybe there's more. Probably not. Not announced so far. And then this was after the meeting. There we go. A delightful bunch. More handshaking. How much if I ever become a world leader, seems unlikely. If it were to happen. If I became the president of China, for example, seems very unlikely. You never know, though. Manifestation is a powerful thing. Introducing the president of the People's Republic of China, Luke Beasley. I'm going to just do high fives or fist bumps. We have to just get to the meeting already. We're spending a collective 10 minutes just taking videos and photos of you handshaking. I don't need it. And then there were apparently promises made by China to crack down more on fentanyl that ultimately gets into the United States, which I feel like we've heard now 12 times.
And many other things like that. On fentanyl, we agreed that he was going to work very hard to stop the flow. You know, it's a very complex subject because it's used for lots of different reasons, including anesthetics and things.
So Trump launches us into a trade war with very difficult to understand demands. Doesn't roll out, as I keep begging people to understand would have been the alternative option. Roll out your demands, give a deadline for when they should concede to them, and then have a list of punishments you follow through on if they don't. But he just kind of went, barfed all over the world, and then started post facto explaining what a good deal would be. And it all ended with the broader Retribution Day. Liberation Day. I didn't even mean to do it that time. I'm falling apart today, guys. Liberation Day tariffs. It all ended with him just sending letters to people saying, so this is your tariff rate. Peace out. That's the deal, which doesn't lower our costs. But he could have made those demands, like I said, and instead it was just imposing them and then figuring it out afterwards. And so we get launched in this trade war. China then just responds with economic measures and trade barriers to punish us, stops buying our soybeans as one, rare earth controls, restrictions. And then we go to this big summit. Tariffs still are super high, but just a little lower. So we're still going to have to pay a lot more for all of our knickknacks. And their big concessions are that we'll go a little bit back to where we were before, but not really fully. But wait, there's a big one. Xi said he's going to work really hard on fentanyl. What does that mean logistically? And this is the problem with a lot of his trade announcements and deals, and why I think you could make a compelling argument we don't really have a single trade deal, despite much messaging to the contrary, which is we're yet to see comprehensive trade agreements with real enforcement mechanisms and with real teeth and with hyper-specific promises. And all of it seems like a house of cards that maybe not just that it could be a house of cards that could fall down, but it might just be an imagined house of cards. Like it's not even a real house of cards. I waded into the cards thing and I got lost. So then on this trip, Trump also talked about Modi of India. We don't have an India soundbite, but
People, I'll tell you what. Prime Minister Modi is the nicest looking guy. He says, oh, and
so sexy.
he looks like you'd like to have your father, like, he's a killer. He's tough as hell. No, we will fight. I said, whoa, this is the same man that I know.
Yeah, I remember. That's exactly how Narendra Modi sounds like. We will fight! We will fight!
That is hell. No, we will fight.
No, we will fight! Sounds just like Modi. What are you waiting for? What do you think, I'm about to do a Modi? No. I know my lines. I don't get them. I don't. There's impressions. No one has a problem if I go, I am going to give all of you liberals Tylenol. No one has a problem. If I go, well, yeehaw, I'm going to eat the ass off a butt. No problems. No problems. If I go, my name is Piers Morgan. No problems. But if I did Modi, I'm sure there would be problems. If I did Xi, President Xi, great guy, strong guy, he'd like to have your father for a night. I'm sure you would have a problem. I don't know. I would love someone to explain to me where the lines are. I mean, a part of it is, I guess everyone I just listed is white, right? Who's someone I do that's not white? I feel like there has to have been. There's someone.
Barack Obama?
Yeah, I've done Barack Obama. Listen. This is America. Oh, it's good. I've done Obama, so what's the problem? But I respect and love everyone, so I'm going to follow the rules. What does this mean?
When it looks like you'd like to have your father, like, he's a killer.
He'd like to have your father? Like birth him?
You're my daddy.
Or have him in that way. He'd like to have your father. Are you... Hey, it's like really inappropriate to out someone. Don't out Modi. Okay. Then this.
Sir, which countries do you have in mind when you say you want to send a signal?
What a rough ride this is.
Wait, play it again.
It was that bad bump.
There you go.
The interviews are tough enough without your life being threatened. You guys okay? Yes, sir. The camera guy's very steady. We're going to look real bad today on television, I'll tell you. I think that, it's pretty much, I think we've discussed mostly what we said, pretty comprehensive. We're going to issue a statement on some of the details. But overall, I guess on the scale of from 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, I would say the meeting was a 12. Okay, I think it was a 12. I think very important.
All right, 1 to 10, it's 12. Very good. Well, I would hate to see what a 3 would be. I would hate to see if that was a 12. Yikes.